All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden. Welcome to the part of the show where we actually try to get work done. So we're going to be working on the inventory app, which started as just a database model. So you can look on YouTube. There's a playlist of all of the past live streams. This is technically the 10th time we've worked on this app. And in the very first live stream, the purpose of that live stream was to just design this database. And so this database... can I enhance? We designed it for an inventory system. So you could think of an inventory system for like a warehouse or a store, but we designed it so that I could use it in my own home and keep track of the inventory in my home. And so in this very first episode, we designed the database. We talked about why we made certain decisions, like why do we have all of these extra tables and related tables, and we talked about normalization and different things like that. And then we slowly implemented the database. So after designing it, over the next few episodes, we actually implemented it with a library called Knex. So Knex.js is a JavaScript library for doing SQL queries. So this is not an ORM, it's just a query builder. So you write JavaScript code that looks somewhat similar to SQL, but under the hood it just gets converted into SQL code. And this library is nice because it supports a lot of different SQL databases. So we use this to implement the schema and implement all of the tables. And then in the past few streams, we've been building a backend RESTful API with Node.js and Express, and we're using this ORM Objection. So Objection is actually written on top of Knex, and this is a JavaScript ORM. And we set this up last time. So currently we are building an API to interface with this database. And we've got work to do, but that's pretty much it. I can talk a little bit about the relations themselves. So think of this as a place where you will store all of the information about all of the things in your house. So the classic example is a can of baked beans. I don't even know where my baked beans are. Oh, I happen to have some baked beans right here on the floor. Here they are. Would you look at that? Yeah. I'll say if you're a sub, doesn't everyone just have baked beans on the floor? Yeah, if you're a sub, go ahead and just drop some baked beans. The Coding 5 beans. And this is the origin of baked beans. So in my home inventory system, I need let's take a quick stretch. In my inventory system, I need to store these 2 cans of beans. So I need to have data about these 2 cans of beans. And we talked about how, like, in a naive implementation, like, technically, you could do this with a single table. Like, you could literally just have an item table that stores everything. You could have an item table that has information about the company, information about all the things that you would need to know about a specific item in your inventory, and that could all just live in one table. But we also talked about how that isn't exactly scalable, and you run into a lot of issues if you try to do that, which is why we've started to break it out into more tables. So the table at the center of it all is this item table, and the item table is the general description of an item. So actually, yeah, I don't know, something about emotes, but these 2 cans of baked beans are extremely similar, but there are some things that are different about them. In the chat, can you tell me what are some potential things that are different about these 2 cans of baked beans? Expiration date, creation date. Yeah, like that's one of the most obvious ones. I mean, in this case, they actually both have the same flavor. Tricky question, they are the same, but number of beans in the can? No, I mean, the thing that I'm thinking about is, for one, like, especially the expiration date. And these 2 cans actually do have a different expiration date. And so if we were storing all of this in one table, we would have a lot of duplicated data, because things like the company name, the product name, the SKU, or the barcode is actually the same for both of these. And if we had all of that stored for every single can of beans, we'd have a lot of duplicate data. So in the item table, we're storing the things that are common between all things. In this case, all cans of baked beans. So we're storing the name of the product. We're storing the type of the product. We're storing the company ID. the SKU, which should be the same, and then also a Boolean on whether or not this item sparks joy. Now, for all the things that are different, those are stored in separate tables. So the item info table is actually where we would store one row for every unique item. So in the item info table is where we're going to insert a row and have the unique expiration date. But also, some other things that are unique is the purchase date. So when did we purchase it? Also, the retailer ID, so where did we purchase it from? Also, the inventory location ID, so where is it in my house? This one might be upstairs and this one might be downstairs. So the item info table allows us to store all of that separately. And all of these things you see with FK are foreign keys. So those are a relation to some other table, but it allows us to not have duplicate data. Because I could have one entry in my company table for this company, Bush Brothers and Company. So I have one entry in that table. But if I actually have two different flavors of baked beans, I have baked beans original and some other, I would actually have two entries in the item table, one for each type of canned food. But both of those would point back to the same company with the same company ID. So that's a lot of the things we talked about. If you want to know more about that and you want to see my thought process, I would go back to video number 1. And really, you could watch the very first video and not watch any of the others, and you'd still learn a lot about SQL. The rest of these are just the nitty-gritty implementation details. Okay. Do I have a priority attribute for very important things you will always need? I don't, but that could be something we could add. That kind of makes me think of something like the purchase date. So, like, typically in inventory, you always want the oldest items to be used first, because they're most likely going to be the ones that expire first, because they're older. So having the purchase date would allow us to arrange these things, and that's kind of like importance, because I want to use the things that I purchased further back or longer ago. First in, first out, exactly. All right, cool. And we have a lot of other tables. So we have a company table, we have an address table. Potentially two companies might have the same address, which is why this is in its own separate table, and we're linking by the address ID. And then for items, we can store images, we can relate items. Item type is like another common thing that you wouldn't want to duplicate. Like, I wouldn't want to put the string canned goods in the item table, because there could be multiple items that have that same type. And if I ever decide to change what that is, instead of canned goods, maybe it's can. And now that I have strings all over the place, it's really hard to replace. But if we link it back by ID, that's going to allow us to have like one source of truth for all of the types. It's like a lookup table. We also have size, inventory location, all that good stuff. But let's get into it. So the code is here. It's totally open source. You can watch all those videos to see me code on it. But the first thing I'm going to do is fix these dependencies. So you can see right now, it says, we found a potential security vulnerability in one of your dependencies. And it's mainly because our backend code here has dependencies for our database driver, dependencies for our backend API, and Sledgedog with the 50 bits. Thank you very much, Sledgedog. All right. And what's an interesting thing here is I have this thing called Dependabot. And actually, I guess maybe I don't have Dependabot on here. I thought Dependabot would automatically make a pull request. And I guess it hasn't. So I'm going to fix it manually. Coding content. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this code locally. We're going to run a few things and update all of the dependencies. So we're going to go into inventory app. We'll go into backend. And right here, you can see my package.json. We'll open this up with VS Code. And you can see right about here all of my dependencies. Package.json. So you can see I have a dependency on bcrypt for hashing passwords, compression, which is an express middleware, a lot of other things. But some of these are potentially out of date, and because they're out of date, they potentially have vulnerabilities. So one thing I'm going to do is run this thing called npm upgrade. So there are a lot of different ways to do this, but this is a really nice tool that you can just run in a folder that has a package.json, and it will automatically go out to npm, figure out what the latest versions of things are, and then ask you if you want to update your package.json. So you can see we have quite a few updates. So bcrypt has a major version bump from 4 to 5. typically, you want to be careful with major version bumps because that typically means there's breaking changes. However, I'm using like two functions from bcrypt. I'm using bcrypt.hash and bcrypt.compare. So I'm just going to assume that this is going to work. We could actually break my code, but that's okay. We'll run the test. So I'm going to add that, upgrade that. You can see that Helmet has a minor version bump, which just means new features. I'll update that. Knex has a patch bump, which just means bug fixes. I'll update that. Objection also has a minor version bump. PG, and so typically with a minor version bump, which just means that the second value changes, typically you can upgrade with confidence. I say typically because while it is semantic versioning, not everyone follows it like they should. Regardless, ESLint will update that. We'll update the ESLint plugins, and then we'll update our testing library. Why not? It's here's the thing: even though like Jest and bcrypt have a major version bump, that typically means breaking changes. However, these are like extremely common libraries. So my feeling is that the breaking change is something that's not very common. So I'm just going to upgrade it. So all this will do is change these values in my package.json. So I'll show you right now we have this. And actually, let's watch it happen in real time. So over here, we'll do this. I'm gonna say yes, and all this tool does is in my package.json, it changes all of the versions to be the latest things that I chose in that CLI tool. Now I need to actually install those dependencies, and that will update my package lock, because the package lock is the thing that says what specific versions of things were installed. And for those of you that missed the command, it's called npm upgrade. I'll throw a link really quick. And this is just a tool that somebody wrote. Like technically, you could do this manually. There are probably some other tools out there that do something similar, but I've been using this tool for a while. It's really nice. I started to do like every Monday update all of my dependencies because dependencies change like crazy, and if you do it often, then it's easier to change things incrementally than all at once. But I stopped doing that. But it's something that you might do. It's like just set a calendar reminder where like every second Monday of the month you just update all of your dependencies. Of course, that really only works if you have tests. But yeah, regardless. All right, so that updated my package.json. So I'm going to run an npm install. Oh, yarn upgrade interactive. That's good to know too. I don't really use yarn, so yeah. So npx is np execute. So basically, if you look at that tool, it says you can install it globally. So it probably says, yeah, install it globally. But if you don't want to install a package globally, you can use npx, and that's kind of like just run it once without installing globally. That's why we use npx. What if a package breaks after updating? We have to fix our code. So I'm going to run npm I, and this is going to update our package lock with all of the specific latest versions of things. And hopefully, after this is done, we won't have any vulnerabilities. So npm will tell us if there are any lingering vulnerabilities. Yeah, you cry. You just basically have to go look at the docs, update the code, or you can roll back. I didn't mention that. Like, you could roll back to a previous version if you really wanted to. Oh, so now it's saying, for whatever reason, I have 13 low severity vulnerabilities. I'm just going to run an npm audit fix. Because I'm on the latest versions of things, I'm not sure if this will do anything, but this could actually affect dependencies of my dependencies. Oh yeah, so running npm audit fixed 13 of 13 vulnerabilities. Yeah, update your dependencies in a separate branch for sure. Let's see what has changed. Yeah, so the only things that have changed are my package lock. So there have been no actual code changes. And right now I'm kind of the only person working on this, which is why I'm not checking out a separate branch. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to spin it up, run the tests, and make sure that at least the basic tests pass. So I'm gonna start up Docker. And so right now we're just working on the backend API, but yeah, this is an idea that's been thrown around where eventually, once we have our API working, we could build a Yay for tests. So once we have the API working, we can build mobile applications that talk to that API, and then the mobile app could have things in them that like can automatically scan barcodes, automatically import things into our system and stuff like that. Oh, that happens, Wolfie. If you followed some other channel and someone gifts a bunch of subs, it's possible that you'll get gifted without actually watching them. All right. Now that we have Docker running, I'm going to do Docker compose up. Is that all I need? I'm not planning to sell this, no. It's all open source. We could create some sort of like software as a service. I think the main reason I say that we're not going to sell it is because like inventory, dealing with inventory typically means you're also dealing with like money, and that's serious. And we should spend a lot more time on things if we're really building something that serious that we want other people to use. Cool. So the database is up. Is the backend up? Oh, I forgot. We actually did not containerize our backend. We don't do serious here. No, we just learned. So actually, I don't know if somebody had made a pull request for this, but right now, our Docker file is only the Postgres database. We actually just run the Node app directly with Node.js, and that's fine for now. So I should be able to do npm run test. Let's see. Cool. So the tests pass, but we get some weird warnings. FS-related options specified for migration configuration. This resets migration source to default FS migrations. What? I'm just gonna Google this. I don't know if I don't remember if we were seeing this error last time or not. That's true, Doc. I could actually containerize our backend. But the thing is, every time we do Docker, we don't actually write any code. I do pure lol. Every now and then I'll run a recursive delete of node modules, and not just on things I don't use, on everything. And then I'll go in and install it on only the things that I use. Excuse me. This issue was from May. The fix. Remove line 297. And this is an issue with Knex, it's saying. Weird. Okay, so I'm actually not going to worry about this because this is does just look like a warning, and the test did actually pass. So I'm actually just going to do npm run dev, and then we'll start up Insomnia, and make some requests and make sure that all that still works too. So I believe we have a folder. We have a folder for the inventory app. Yeah, so we should be able to get all US states, and it works. There's that. We should be able to get all users. I think there's like one user. Yep. We should be able to get one state by ID. That works. Oh, last time we were working on addresses. That's why we barely got anything done last time, because there's a lot to consider when you're dealing with addresses and like deduplication of addresses. But yeah, we currently have the Bush Baked Beans address in our database now. Yep. Cool. And the other tricky thing was, thank you very much for the resub. Thanks for being here. We have like a composite primary key, so that if you try to insert the same, yeah, I'll change my category. Let's do it. But if you try to insert the same address, you'll get a database level error because those specific columns are all the same. Let's go. Science and tech. Here we come. So I was watching Binawad, was it last night? And he was just mentioning the fact that in science and tech, we're always competing with chickens. And I do agree that it's not ideal. it's not ideal that I think, am I following a... How do I go to science and tech? Can I just click it? Click it. Yeah, so we're going to sort by viewers high to low. So you got Naysayer. He's a programmer. Doing some NASA stuff. And then chickens. The number 3 spot is chickens. I guess technically I would be... Am I above them? I'm technically above them, but I just changed my category. That's true. Chickens do not have the programming category. I guess this hasn't updated yet. Did you all see my category change? Oh, right. And then there's the case sensitivity of searching, all that good stuff. It changed. Okay, I guess it takes a while for that. But we could also search programming. There I am. My hair is green. Wow. Okay. At least the moment we drop below the chickens, I'm going back into just chatting. Cool. So the API works. Let's get some stuff done. We've updated our dependencies, so I'm going to go ahead and commit. Actually, I like to do this. Yeah, sparkles package. Updated dependencies. Focus is relative, true. Here's a potential teaching moment. You may not realize this, but you can use emoji names in your commit messages, and they will actually show up on GitHub. So if we go to GitHub, and we go to that repo, you can see my commit message has emojis on it, sparkles in the package. So that's cool. And you can also see that warning message about vulnerabilities is gone. Type 7 in the chat if you did not know you could use emojis in your commit messages. Hold on, pulling up the chicken stream. Hey, Acid Spark. Nice. Few people learn. That's pretty cool. You technically could just use Unicode values, and that'll work on any website. But as you saw, I'm not using Unicode. I'm using just the emoji name. Focus. And GitHub sees that emoji name and it shows it in the commit history. Cool. So we updated the dependencies. Now I think we have some sort of to-do list that we can look at, like a README. Yeah. So last time we were working on create, read, update, and delete of addresses. Let's see how far we got. So do I have OG people who have been following me? What do you mean? I mean, I've been live streaming for like over 2 years now, and there are quite a few people that have been watching since the beginning. Is that what you mean by that? All right, we can get all addresses. We can create an address. We can't delete addresses. I don't think I care about deleting addresses. Let's work on some other endpoints. Well, welcome, Ezzy. It's okay to be new. All right, I think we're gonna do a poll. that was pretty. We got stuff done. We updated dependencies, but I'm gonna do a poll now. Should I do? And thank you very much, Juicebox Hero, for the sub. Thank you so much. Shout out, Juicebox Hero. And as you can see, my overlay is working again. Last time we got rated by Juicebox Hero, my overlay was borked. All right, let's do a poll. All right, the question is, what to do? Show us the Docker file. Check out the Git repo. That'll be easier. We'll do update, delete address, or should we work on create list items or item info? Or companies. All right, 2 minutes, vote now. Yeah, so this is for the API. Basically, we'll be creating RESTful endpoints that do these things. And we only have about 30 minutes, so that's probably about all we can get done. Yeah, here's the thing. If we do update and delete address, then we will have completed full CRUD, create, read, update, delete on the address endpoints. However, if we do the list item, or do the item info, that's really what we all came here for. We can literally insert some baked beans into our system. So yeah. How do you vote? Just look at the top. I don't know if you're on desktop or mobile, but usually it appears at the top here. I want to vote for item info too. It's quite a few votes. Control economy. Am I including photos? There's a join table for photos, but I don't think I'll do that today. That actually will be really good YouTube content for creating an image upload endpoint. But not today. But eventually we will do that, because you'll be able to upload an image that will get associated with a given item, and then that image will get uploaded to like Amazon S3 or something like that. I'm not planning on deploying this, mainly because it's a home inventory system. I would think that it just runs on like one computer in your house. And for that, we could do really interesting things like server discovery. Like, instead of deploying the backend, you like install an Electron app that is basically the server, and then on your phone, it can automatically detect any servers that are on your local network. And that way, your stuff isn't being stored on some cloud server. It's just like self-hosted inside your house. Yeah. I use Bash. You can see my my dot files here. How the heck do you do that? I don't know. Can I install? Yeah, that's the thing. There's smart fridges now. I could literally buy a smart fridge for the stream, and we could write a custom app on the smart fridge that integrates with our inventory app. I don't know. I am interested in home automation. The main thing I don't like about home automation is having everything owned and controlled by a large corporation, like Google Home and Amazon Alexa and stuff like that. But it's fun to do things with just like a straight Arduino and switches and stuff like that. Great content. All right, so we're gonna do list item info. I think this is good. We do have to plan this though. So if we take a look at if we take a look at the data model, item info has some related things, right? So we're probably gonna have to insert into the item table first. And oh no, we do have to implement. We do have to insert into the item table first, because item info is dependent on the item table. And also, we can see any foreign keys here. This is where we would have to insert data before as well. However, I want to actually get this done today. So what I might do is just do a quick seed of a company, and then we know what the company ID is, and do a quick seed of the item type table, and then we'll be able to actually create items. We will literally be able to create Bush's best original seasons with bacon and brown sugar baked beans. that's the goal. So let's get that done. So we need a company seed. So I want to write a seed file that puts the Bush's baked bean company into my database. So a company has an address, they have a name, Bush's best. Let's get that seed file going. That's what I'm gonna do right now. Exciting! So we can look at my seed file. So seeds are basically sample data or initial data that you put into your database. And so I want to seed my database with all of the info that we'll need so we can create those endpoints. So I'm going to actually seed it with an address. I'm going to seed it with the company. Right now, our seed file is actually very basic. We're seeding a user, and we're seeding countries and U.S. states. So our database currently includes all 50 U.S. states, and then I think we have like 500 countries that we're seeding in, and we're actually reading that in from a CSV file. But what I'm also going to do is seed our... first, we got to do the address table. And I'm actually just going to copy and paste from... we'll hold on to that, because this is going to be the data that we seed our database with. And this is the bush baked beans address. Cool. And so our seed file will look very similar to this. We're not going to need crypto or bcrypt. We use that because we were seeding users into our database. It's like 500 of the top... I found a CSV file with like 500 countries in it. I don't know. And this should be good enough. So our seed file exports a function. This function just needs to insert into some table. So what I'll do is I'll say await connects of table names dot address. So table names is a constant we created. It's basically like an enum of all the table names in our database. And then I just need to do insert. And we're just going to basically paste this object in. That's how we're going to seed the address. Do that. Let's get that out here. So this is just a JS doc thing that gives me type completion. This says that the parameter to this function is of type connects, and that's why I'm able to do things like connects wat dot insert in it, and it gives me autocomplete of all the available functions. So I'm in JavaScript. I'm not actually in TypeScript, but by using this JS doc syntax, my editor is it's pretty nice. Lets me do things. Cool. So I don't want to insert any of the created at, updated at, or deleted at. The zip code should be fine. City, street address. We're not inserting the ID. And then these two things, the state ID and the country ID, these are dynamic. Do I have to import JSDoc? Oh no, this is just built into VS Code. So if you're using VS Code, you can actually do this in any JavaScript file. You could also even do this. Something like, I forget what the syntax is, but you can actually have type checking in your JavaScript file inside of your editor. Okay. But these two things I need to get dynamically, meaning the states and the countries were seeded in a previous file, and it's not exactly deterministic about, like, the state here is Tennessee. So I can't be sure that Tennessee is always going to be ID 42. So I actually need to get those IDs first. So I'll say Tennessee is equal to await connects of table names dot state, and I want to say where, and what do I have in my state table? I think I just have name. So I'm gonna get the state. Yeah, I want to get the state where actually we'll get the code. The state where the code is TN. And so that, oh, this is weird. This should be const. And I want to grab the first one. So this will query my database for the first state where the state code is TN for Tennessee. That's great. And then I also want to get the USA. So, and actually we can do these things simultaneously because they're not dependent on each other. So we'll use a promise all. Actually, I'll show you without a promise all, and then we'll refactor it to a promise all. So we'll say that this is the USA. I want to get the code USA in the country table, table names.country. Why await? Yeah, so we're going to use promise all. I just want to show that this works, hopefully. Tennessee.id and USA.id. If this works, we'll turn it into a promise all. And in Knex specifically, if your seeds run in alphabetical order. So because I called this O1 addresses, this seed file will not run until the initial seed file has run, which actually creates the states and the countries. So let's see if it works. Will it work? Oh, type check. Yeah, there we go. Add TS check at the top of your file in a comment, and you'll get type checking inside of JavaScript. All right. npm run Knex migrate. Do I have a task for that, or do we just have to use Knex? Yeah, we do. npm run migrate, and that we're gonna do migrate rollback. No, npm run seed. Sorry, npm run seed, and that'll seed our database. Arrow while executing addresses cannot read property ID of undefined. Cool. It's very possible that this is like the code is lowercased or something like that. Or actually, did I do name? I did code. Let's see how we're actually seeding that data. Constants, US states. We're going into db sources US states.csv. It's possible that, wait. I don't know. I really don't know. We're just gonna log Tennessee. Like, did we actually get back Tennessee? And then also, did we actually get back the USA? I'm also curious that, is the code for USA US? Are we using the 2-character code? Or the 3-character code? Alpha 2. Oh, so that's probably another issue, is that I should be searching for US, not USA. And probably capital US? I don't know. See you later, 1 Hour Game Studio. Thanks for being here with me. All right, let's see if this works. And right now, you can see that there's a ton of output in the seeds. It's actually outputting like the SQL code that ran for these seeds. And I don't want that. So I'm going to disable debug mode. I want it to be like a cleaner output. Let's see. Actually, I don't know where that's happening, but regardless, let's try running it again. It worked. So I think that was the issue. I was using the 3-character country code for the US instead of a 2-character country code. Let's go back here. All right. So that actually inserted an address, and to test it, the API should actually give us back. Oh, are we not running? First try. I mean, second try. Technically, it was the second try. But we should see that address in our database. We do. And we see that the state ID is 142 and the country ID is 736. So like I mentioned, the IDs of the state and the country are not deterministic, which is why we needed to look those up. So awesome. We have an address in the database. Now, let's convert this to a promise.all, because actually what happened here is we executed this SQL query, got back the data, and then when that was done, we executed this SQL query, got back the data, and then we executed this SQL query. What we could do instead is query these two things simultaneously. So that way, I'm not waiting on one because they're not dependent. They're not dependent on each other. So what I'm going to do is take the things that return a promise. So this particular thing right here returns a promise. If you see an await keyword in something, in front of something, that means that that thing returns a promise. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it into an array. So we have our first item that we're going to be waiting on. Done. Now this other thing we're also going to be waiting on. So I'm going to pull that out. And that is the second item in our array. So now I have an array of two things that will return a promise. And what I want to say is I'm going to wait for all of these to complete. And so promise.all accepts an array of things that return a promise. So wait for both of these to be done, and they're actually going to happen simultaneously. But what's nice about promise.all is regardless of which one finishes first, the results are in the same order that you called them in. So we're actually going to get back an array where it gives us Tennessee, and we're also going to get back the USA. So promise.all returns an array with the results in the exact same order that you specified the promises in. Am I missing a closing curly? I don't think so. I think we're good. Yeah, and we could also do all settled. In this particular case, I do not anticipate that these would fail. These are for my seeds. I know that the data should already be in the database at this point. I mean, technically, I should be wrapping this in a try-catch. Yeah, all settled will wait for all of them to settle, meaning one of them could actually throw an error. But it wouldn't throw an exception here. We would get access to that error afterwards. Whereas right now, if one of these fail, they all fail. But honestly, that's okay with me, because if one of these fail, then I wouldn't be able to insert the address. So I'm gonna leave it like that. But yeah, so that should wait on the 2. And now it's technically a little bit faster. Can you tell that it's faster? I don't know. But it's technically a little bit faster. And especially if I were writing code like this in a backend route, I would want to do that. Line 28? Oh no, this is there because we're inserting an object that has all of these properties. Basically, each of the properties on this object map to a field in the table. And hello, Robin. Welcome to the show. All right, we don't have a front end. We're still working on back end. Awesome. Step 1, seed the address. Okay. Actually, I technically need this address ID for whenever I seed the company, the Bush Baked Beans company. Let's just rename this instead of addresses. Let's rename this initial beans. Cool. So I'm actually going to add more seed code at the bottom of this. So we insert the address, and I'm going to do dot returning everything. So this is a Postgres thing where you can return everything. Well, actually, I don't necessarily need everything. I really just need the ID. So returning ID, and then I can say address ID equals this. And then now I can use that address ID to insert into the company table. And I'm going to create an entry for Bush Brothers and Company in there. So we will await Knex with table names dot company. We're going to insert the Bush Baked Beans company, and we need all of these properties. So we need a name. This is Bush Brothers and Company. They have an ampersand. I'll do that. They have a logo URL. Let's go find them. Bush Baked Beans. I'm going to search Wikipedia for Bush Baked Beans. Do they have a Wikipedia page? Bush Brothers and Company. Nice. We can get a Wikipedia URL. Actually, I'll just upload this to Imager. I use Imager as just like a throwaway image host. You can upload anything there, and as long as you access the URLs, they don't expire. So, nice and simple, static image URL. So logo URL goes there. What else do we need? Actually, I'm gonna go back to the Bush Baked Beans Wikipedia page. That probably has some good information we can use in our seed. We have description, throwaway. I mean, technically, I should like download these images locally or something like that. Now, I don't really use TypeScript. I mainly use JavaScript. I mean, I use TypeScript at work, but we're not at work right now, so that's why I'm not using TypeScript. All right, description. What is the description? Bush Brothers and Company is a family-owned corporation best known for its Bush Best Band Baked Beans. Oh yeah, let's go with that. That's a good description. Is TypeScript fun? I don't think so. I think TypeScript is a pain. TypeScript, it requires more work. It requires, like, I'm not saying TypeScript is bad. I'm just saying objectively, it takes more work to write something in TypeScript than it takes to write something in JavaScript, and that's not fun to me. All right. Yeah, all right, we got a description. I also want to double check my, my migrations, just to make sure I'm not missing any column names. I guess company was in the previous seed. We should fight. No, but the thing is, all of the reasons that Binawad says to use TypeScript make sense in the context of building an app that other people are working on, building an app that you're working on a team, or building an app for open source code or code that other people will potentially contribute to. There are good reasons to use TypeScript, but baked beans are not one of them. Okay, where are we at? I mean, honestly, this would be fun to see implemented with TypeScript, because you would, the thing is, do you see how dynamic this is? I'm literally passing in a string that is the table name, and I'm literally just dynamically, like, I'm creating an object, Yeah, I'm just creating an object out of thin air. I don't have to create an instance of a class. I don't have to create an interface. It's really, it's a lot less. It's a lot less. That's all. All right, so we have our name. We have our logo URL. We have our description. We have our website URL, which is bushbeans.com. We have our email, which I will just read off of the can. I think. Heinz. Actually, I'm going to remove that. It's just Bush Beans. Do they have a contact? Contact us. Privacy@bushbrothers.com. I mean, isn't there just like support beans@beans.com? If you do !theme, you can get a link to my theme. Yeah, I'll just put their, yeah, why not? We'll put their privacy email. Oh no, if you're a California resident, you may submit a personal information request. No, I'm just gonna assume this could be wrong. I don't know how often I'm even gonna use the email, but we'll say help. That should reach somebody, right? Most big companies know to redirect that email address, right? Right? All right, and then we need to link up to the address table. So right here we got back the address ID, and when we insert this company, we're gonna pass in the address ID as well. If I've done everything right, this should actually be in our database. Are you ready? Who's ready? Type 3 in the chat if you're ready. And we only have about 10 minutes left to create the endpoints. I think we can do it, though. I think we can do it. Yeah, me. All right. Easy. Easy. All right, let's actually make sure that the data made it in there. We don't have endpoints, so that way we can see. But actually, it will be so easy to just create a list all items endpoint. So let's do it. Without even looking at the database. This didn't fail, so we're going to assume that the data made it into the database, and now we're just going to create a backend endpoint for it. So if you look at our API, I'm actually going to copy what I did for addresses, and we're going to call this companies, like that. I'm not going to have a schema for now because we're literally just going to, we're not going to do a create endpoint for companies today. We're only going to do a list endpoint for companies to make sure it's working, and then we'll do the create endpoint for items. Big beans. Company. And the table name here is tablenames.company. So what I'm using here is this library called Objection. This is an ORM, and this is how I set up my model. This is the other cool, super dynamic JavaScript-y thing about this is I can create a JSON schema that define, and really in that JSON schema, I only have to define what are the required properties like to use for validation. We're gonna get rid of that for now, but like to access properties of things that come out of the database, I also don't have to define those ahead of time. So we have our basic company model, good enough. Let's rename these files. We have our company's test, and we have our company's routes. So let's go ahead and write the test. We're gonna do test first. Get API v1 companies should respond with an array of companies. We'll expect that the status code is 200, and we get back an instance of an array. That's a simple enough test. In the future, we can make it more complex. I mean, this is like quasi TDD because we kind of just copy and pasted the test. But now we'll set up the routes. And like I mentioned, we're not going to have a create route. We're just going to have a list route. InstaFluff, what's up? Found it. What do you mean found it? Welcome to the show. Cool. Test first is best first. Yeah. So we're going to bring in a company model. Bring in the company model. I mean, and technically, I should see a failing test first, but this is just gonna work. Oh, just bean lurking. What's up, dude? Actually, no, this test will fail because I haven't mounted the route yet. So let's see a failing test. Let's see a failing test. So if I do npm run test, it should fail because it should get a 404 not found on the company's route. Yeah, so 404 not found. And the reason we get this error is because we have not registered the route. But I'll say, the moment we register the route, it's just going to work because it's a very simple list all on that table. So if we go to our root API router, we're going to bring in our company's routes. Yay for correctly failing test. And now after we mount it, this should work. Now we should get a passing test. And so all we're doing here is we've created a RESTful endpoint for listing the data that we previously just seeded into the database. Router.use. Passing tests. All right. But what's great about that is now we can actually test it with Insomnia. So I'm going to create a folder for companies, and then we're going to create a new request for get all, and this is just a get request. What is my URL? 5050. Thank you, Doc. Much appreciated. So we make a get request on companies. Are you ready to see Bush Brothers and Company? Boom! We get back an array, and it has Bush Brothers and Company with all the info. Awesome. Now, all of that set up so that we can now insert an item with the given company ID. So because we now have the ID 1, we're going to insert into our item table. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the claps. We're going to insert in here, and we know what the company ID is. Now, technically, we don't have a size table yet. That's unfortunate. We also don't have an item type table yet. Let me see. We can take a look at the constraints. Like, let me see if I made them nullable. Because if I made them nullable, then we don't actually need them. So, what I want to see is in my Docker Compose, we have this tool called adminner, exposed on port 8090. So if we go to port 8090, we can log into the database. I think it's just admin? Nope. Oh, we need to tell it that we're connecting to Postgres. Cool. And if we take a look at the item table, size ID is an integer, but it cannot be null. We're just going to change the migration. We're just going to make it so that you don't have to specify a size. And we're also going to say, we can create a really quick seed for item type. That's a safe database. Yeah, so item type ID and size ID cannot be null. First of all, I'm going to make it so that size ID can be null. So I'm going to update my initial migration. I've talked about this in the past. Like, in the real world, once your app is in production, you don't modify previous migrations. You create new migrations. But in our case, we're kind of designing this thing as we go and fixing things. So I think it's okay to change the initial migration and just wipe out the database, because our design decisions are like changing as we go. So we're going to make sure that size ID can be nullable on the item table. Hey, Indy Lizard, what's up, dude? So on the item table, we'll say references. I think, so we created this references utility function for creating a foreign key reference. And I think we added something in there that says it can be nullable. Let's see. Table utils. References. Yeah, so we can pass in a third parameter, not nullable. And that parameter can say false. So we'll say item size false. And that will make it so that we actually can have a null size ID. And we're going to do a quick seed on the item type table. I'm still streaming. Yeah, what's up, Empy? All right, so for this, I'm going to do npm run migrate rollback. So we're going to go back. We're going to drop the tables. Do I have that? Oh, just npm run rollback. 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 Keep going. All right, now I'm at the base migration. Now I'll do npm run migrate. Is that the task? Yeah. Well, and that should create the tables, but now we'll actually have we will not have a null constraint on the size. So I'm going to refresh this, and it should say that that size ID can be null, and it can. Awesome. All right. npm run Bobby. What? Bobby. Now we actually need some more seeds. I'm going to seed just an initial item type. So I'm going to say await Knex table names dot item type, and we're just going to insert canned goods as the name of the item type. Callum with the 5 gifted subs. What? Thank you so much, Callum. Congrats to Declan and Capex and Ghost and a couple others. I appreciate you, Callum. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we're going to insert into the item type table. I believe item type just has a name. Actually, do we have an item type table? Why is it pink? Why is it pink? Did we forget to create it? Oh, buddy. Item info, item image, related item. Oh, man. We're further behind on this thing than we anticipated. Oh, no. Okay, we do. No, we have it. Never mind. We do have... I don't know why it's pink. This should not be pink. I can't edit it. Okay. Still doing databases. Yes. All right. We have an item type table, and it just has a name. So we're going to say that insert into the item type table name... canned goods. Is this a good item type? Let me know. Is there something else that I should call this? Or just like canned food? Canned goods? Any thoughts? Make a full beans category. Stop trolling. Canned legumes. I like canned goods. We're going with canned goods. Thank you, Callum. Thank you. All right, so we're going to rerun our seeds. And I'm not going to create endpoints for getting the item types right now, but we can use... what is this called? Adminer? To see what the data is. And so we can see that canned goods has an ID of 1. So whenever we insert data into the item table, we're going to use an item type ID of 1. All right. Great. Let's get it going. Bunker food. I mean, canned goods technically is bunker food because it lasts a long time. Cans of canned goods. Cans. All right, now we need some other endpoints. So here in the API, I am going to, again, just copy my addresses folder, and we're going to rename this to items. And we're going to have an item schema. Wait, did I not rename it? Items. Ha, 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 ha. There's items route. And then the items model. Great. So this will rename to item. The table name is item. We are going to bring in the schema from the schema file, and then let's define our schema. So basically, this schema is used by the ORM to validate the thing that we're creating. So literally going to replace the word address with item. And we need to define our required properties. So if we look back at the schema, the required properties on the item. Oh, and we're out of focus mode. We've actually gotten a ton done. Yeah, that's the play. Eventually, we want to do something like this. So we're building the API right now to store all of the items, and then eventually we could have a mobile app that can like auto street item 1 that can auto insert into this database. All right, let's look back at item. What are some things that are required? The name will definitely be required. What's the name of the item? I think, yeah, item type ID can't be null, so you must specify that. I've been streaming for 4 hours and 40 minutes. The description can be null, so we're not going to require that. Company ID cannot be null, so that is required. Such content. Well, thank you, Callum. All right, so the company is required. Size is not required. Skew can be null. And Sparks Joy defaults to true. So actually, we only have 3 required properties. Name, item type ID, and company ID. This chair is from IKEA. It's actually, they don't make this color anymore, but this is the IKEA Marcus. I don't know, why would we have the ID? Oh, we might use that elsewhere. Okay. So we have name. The name of the item. It's a string. Great. And then really, I'm just going to add the 2 other required properties. So we have item type ID. Howard with the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you very much, Howard. Wait, what did you say, Slant? Is the type 1 in the chat repo on GitHub? Yes. Yes. It should be linked in the YouTube video description, I think. Feel the vibe. All right, so item type ID is here. It is of type number and the ID of the item type. And then lastly, we have the company ID. What I think of flow type, I've never used it, but it looks interesting. It seems, isn't it like just annotations that give you types rather than having like really strict, well, like a whole different language like TypeScript? Is that an accurate description of it? It's like type comments or type annotations to give you that stuff. It's not in the description? Well, it is on GitHub. I keep zoning out. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm like so focused on getting this done. Yeah. All right. Should be here. Oh, you know what? It doesn't, it's not called type 1 in chat. It's just called like build a basic, I'm pretty sure I put this on GitHub. Maybe I didn't put it on GitHub. Twitch? Remind me. Remind me when I'm done with this. We're kind of home free. So we created our item schema. We're now going to use that item schema in our routes. So this route is going to bring in the item model. And then, first of all, let's just get listing items working, which should just return an empty array because there are no items in our database. But that should be fine, and then we'll work on the route to actually create items from the API. All right, so this is a thing. We'll update our tests. We'll run it. It should fail, and then we'll mount the tests or mount the router and get it all working. So items. Request to items should be an array. Great. Let's run these tests. Yeah, tag me on Discord. Oh, somebody else had tagged me about the link checker repo. I'll upload that to GitHub too. Like right now when I click a link, it loads it on this web page, which basically gives me a preview of it before I go to it to prevent like clicking on malicious links. That's me. But it is open source. I just need to put it on GitHub. This SQL looks very different from the one I know. Well, it's technically, I'm writing JavaScript, but the library Knex converts that JavaScript into SQL code that runs against the database. And you can see the generated SQL here. So insert into table name, and then values. And then what's nice about Knex is it automatically escapes the values for you. So it's basically automatically not vulnerable to SQL injection because any parameter that gets passed in will be bound to that query. So like in this case, insert into item type name canned goods. This is the actual SQL that ran against the database for whenever we did the seeds earlier. All right, so we're in it right now. We have a failing test because it can't find that route. Let's mount the route. Always use prepared statements. I have built a lot of applications that a lot of people use in the real world that are in production, and they don't use prepared statements. I'm not saying, prepared statements are good. It's a good thing. Could this replace Mongo? Mongo is a type of database. It's a persistent storage, and SQL is persistent storage. These are both ways of storing data persistently. Where they differ is how you deal with related data. And in this scenario, we have a ton of related data. Always use unprepared statements. That could be our motto here on the Coding Garden. So here we have a ton of related data. The data, and it's basically for deduplication. Instead of storing the company name multiple times for every single item that's from the same company, we store the company name separately and then we just link it via ID. And SQL was made for that. SQL is a relational thing, and it's made for working with relational data. Technically, you could build a very similar app using Mongo, but it's not really meant for that. But you could. Nothing's stopping you. All right, let's mount this route. So we need to bring in the items. And then we will mount them. There we go. Passing test. Oh no! Yeah, I messed up. I required in the wrong thing. I know the format of a UPC, right? First digits are the vendor group, then the next is the item identifier. Oh, no, I'm not familiar. No, I haven't really worked with products and UPCs and stuff like that before. We looked up last time, and we actually are... I think we looked up, like, what is the maximum possible length of a UPC, and we have that in our data model. So if we look at item... or like what's the max possible length of a SKU, and we somewhere we found that it was 42. Actually, it was some other number, but we chose 42 because that's bigger than what it possibly could be. Something like that. I don't know. But okay, this works, which means over in Insomnia, we should be able to make a request for all items. So we're gonna add a new folder. Items. Can I duplicate it? Yeah, 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So that's why we use that. We'll call this get all. Okay, and so get all items. We'll make a request to items. This should respond with an empty array. And I know it works because my test worked. I think these are brown switches. I don't know much about mechanical keyboards. All right, now, all of that, everything we just did was so that we could get to this moment. We haven't implemented the code yet, but now we want to make a post request to items to create a can of baked beans. So we're gonna post some JSON data, and insert into beans. Insert items into beans. Once you clack, you don't go back. All right, so the name here is going to be original, seasoned with well, I think the name is just original. Original baked beans, I think. What do you all think? What should the name of this be? Right below original, it says seasoned with bacon and brown sugar. Bush's original? Bush's best original baked beans. I like that because it says Bush's best original baked beans. I'm going with that. I'm not advertising. We're working here. Bush's best original baked beans. Great. Why do I have so many beans? I mean, I have a ton of canned goods in my basement. All right, so we have a name of the item. So if you remember back to our schema, the three required things are the item type ID. So we have item type ID, which is just one. And right now in our database, item type with ID 1 is canned good. So this is a canned good. And then we need a company ID, which I think is also 1. But yeah, company ID. Like that. But I can verify this, so I'm just going to use adminer. Oh, no. We could use our trusty route. So I'll go to get all companies, and we can see that Bush's Brothers and Company has ID 1. So over here, company ID is 1. Technically, this is all of the required data I need. Type ID 0. Bad can. What if I get a can of non-maple bacon? I think it wouldn't be called original. I think it wouldn't be called original. Okay, but there are some other properties that we can pass in, so why not pass them in? Description. That's it. We'll add a description. Let's see if we can find a good description. I wonder if they mention... Oh, we should be able to find a description on their website. Products. Baked beans. I've learned so much. Well, thank you, Buzziphius. Thanks for being here. I'm glad somebody learned something, because I feel like, except for like the past hour, we just kind of did nothing. But cool. That like this website, like, surprisingly, is really, look how responsive it is, and I love the color scheme. It fits with the brand. I don't like this. Yeah, we didn't sign up to review Bush's website, but this is a good website. I'm proud of the fact that we've been talking about Bush baked beans for so long, and they're actually really good at web development. Your streams always leave me feeling pretty good. Well, thank you, Pitbull Proton. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Here's the description. It's the bean that started it all. Back in 1969, Camden Bush decided to share his mother's secret recipe for baked beans with all of America. Nice. Okay, so that goes here as the description. All right. Although, who actually visits these kinds of websites? I have no idea, right? Because you just buy you buy this at the grocery store. I guess they probably do TV advertisements. I don't watch TV. Regardless, it's a really nice website. Like, these buttons are nice. Look at that subtle hover effect. Like, the images are great. Look at this little carousel. What? This is a good website. I guess resellers of the beans, but I think, like, Bush's is such a standard name in baked beans. I don't know. Bean tacos? Taco beans? I didn't even see. Oh. Beef and bean tacos? Oh, yeah, that does not look good. Franken beans? I mean, we go to these websites because we're building a database. That's why we go to this website. The Frank, yeah, that does not look good. This is not an advertisement. Okay. That was fun. Oh yeah, you could go here to find nutrition info. That's a good point. Thank you, Samunition. There is nutrition info. Wait, that's for the recipe. No, that's it. That's a good point. All right. At this point, we need to get this post route working. I do this, can't find it. We need to implement a post route that will actually insert these baked beans into our database. Let's do it. You know, I can't believe that it's taken us 2 months to get here. Like, we have literally probably 3 months. Let's look and see when the first stream was. And since that stream, how long it's been. So this was March 19th, this was like the this started at the beginning of the pandemic. Right? Quarantine app. Days since March 19th. It's been 120. It took us 121 days to get to this point where we can actually put a can of baked beans into our database. So here we go. Pandemic beans. Right. So we need a post route, and when we make a post request to /items, for each thing we're going to, well, do we need to lowercase it? No, we were doing this lowercase thing because this was when we were trying to normalize addresses and make sure that we weren't inserting duplicate addresses. We don't really have to do anything like this for items. And honestly, this is all we have to do. So we already have the item model. We're going to insert rec.body. What's nice about this is this schema that we set up, it's going to run validation against that first. And so technically, even though description is not required, we should still tell it that like description needs to be a string. The description for case-insensitive indices, without having to lowercase, just replace all Knex text column name with specify type sitetext. The main issue with that is that's specific to Postgres, isn't it? I think that's mainly why I didn't do it, because I know, like with MySQL, you can just set the encoding of the table, and that is just that becomes a case-sensitive search by default. See you later, Karate Wump. Thanks for being here. The tech stack. This app is specific to Postgres. I mean, I have not written any Postgres specific code yet. It's all general SQL. What is the tech stack? Beans. Yes, we stack beans. This is it's how we make apps work around here. Okay, it's JavaScript. So that command, I don't know if you were here when I ran that command, but that command gives you a link to all the stuff, including the GitHub repo. This is a meme. Like, this is a meme around here at this point. We literally have an emote that is a can of beans. But if you click the Git.io link, it's off to GitHub, and you can see it's a JavaScript stack. So we're using Express with Node. Our database is Postgres, but we're using a library called Knex and a ORM called Objection. And that's about it. It's mainly JavaScript. We're using Jest and Supertest for our testing. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to validate the description. Wonderful. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post an empty body, and we should get back an error. It should say, name is a required property. Item type ID is a required property. Company ID is a required property. And then also, I think if we tried to specify description as like a number, this should error out too. Description is an invalid additional property. Oh. What? Description. Oh, because I have additional properties false. Oh, I didn't save the file. See this white dot? I need to save the file. There we go. There you go. Now if I try to set this to 1, 2, 3, description should be a string. Nice. So that's the really cool thing I like about Objection, which is this ORM, is because we set up this item model with that schema, it automatically runs this through. Thank you very much, Zero Turner, for the 10 bits. Much appreciated. But it automatically runs the data through a validator before it even touches the database. So that's nice. And at this point, I think we're ready. Yeah, no, exactly, Brandon. And that's like multiple people have mentioned this, and eventually we'll be there. Like once we have the API, yeah. So like instead of having to manually type this into the app, scan the UPC, generate the info, and just boom, insert it in. But we're pretty there. So this is like a historic moment. Like this is gonna work, I'm pretty sure. We're literally gonna put baked beans into our database. So I kind of want to savor this, because the moment we press this button, I mean, we have like, this is like 10% of the app. We have so much more of the API to build. But are we ready? I feel like we should do something to hype ourselves up. UPC is like universal product code or something like that. Some build-up music. All right, somebody needs to, like, there's a, so Eye of the Tiger, obviously a very copyrighted DMCA takedown song. But there is a, like a copyright-free version of a song that sounds kind of like Eye of the Tiger. Let's see if we can find it. Let's just wait another 121 days. Fighting type tribute, Eye of the Tiger. Let me make sure my sound is down. I'm gonna grab some headphones really quick. The Baked Bean Song by Planet Custard? Can someone help out Mart? They're trying to get their country badge. I can sing it. No software will recognize it. Well, here's the thing. I don't know, Acid Spark, if you're still here, but I got a copyright notice on the video where I did the lo-fi hip-hop Cranberry song. And it was a copyright notice that said it detected the melody of the song. I didn't use any samples, and I did not play the original song, but they have software that actually detects melodies and will give you copyright notices. Yeah. So that song we did, the YouTube copyright algorithm, even though it wasn't the original, and even though like we did it at like a half tempo, it was still able to detect it. Yeah. So it's gonna be a bean scanner? Right. No, this is literally the song itself. Eye of the Tiger, hype music. Well, so, you know, like, it was a special type of copyright notice, because with YouTube, I think technically you're supposed to do like revenue share with the copyright holder if it is a cover. Like, they won't take it down, but all your ad revenue goes to the owner of the copyright. Survivor. Wait, no. What? That's the original. It's just like a remix. "30-minute workout music, motivation, Rocky training medley." All right, see you later, Jeff. Thanks for being here. Copyright free hype music. No copyright hype. Zero Turner with the 20 bits. Thank you very much. Something from Kevin McLeod. Is it copyright free? What's NCS? Oh, no copyright sign. No. Kevin McLeod. Hype. I'm using a plugin for YouTube. That's why it's green. Is anyone else searching right now? Like trying to help me with this? I should probably just search Google. Grab the piano and play. See, that's the thing. I could technically... I could get the MIDI roll, plug it into... Wait, How to Code has something. We're looking for a song that's like Eye of the Tiger, but that actually isn't Eye of the Tiger. So here's the thing. On YouTube, if you scroll down and you see this, then you probably will get a copyright violation if you use that music. Song like Eye of the Tiger, but not. The Nose of the Liger. 12 brilliant songs to pump you up that aren't Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Lion. Alright, Thanvir has something. I'm not gonna do that. Beethoven's Fifth. How do I get a haircut like yours? I just grew my hair out really long. Like, my hair's like right down to here. And I shave the sides and just wrap it up on top. That's about it. Paul Hill has something. Story blocks. Royalty-free songs. Tiger's Eye. You know what? I made a dramatic soundboard. And I think I have... So this is actually sort of relevant because I'm going to do another Hot Ones Code Katas episode pretty soon. Or like Hot Wings. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So about a year ago, I did a live stream where I ate progressively spicier hot wings while solving progressively harder coding problems. And I'm going to do this again soon. But before I did that stream and leading up to it, I built this dramatic soundboard because it's very similar to Hot Ones, the YouTube TV show, or YouTube show, where like when people are eating hot food, then there's like dramatic music playing. So this could work, like this one. Well, not that one, though. What about this one? Final... Which... Do I have Final Boss on here? Yeah, I built this on stream. I built this with Svelte. Found the song that I meant. I need to be careful. Mute the tab. Hey. Exclamation mark set status will do it. Sorry, wrong link. Well, that's a remix if I ever do. Not gonna try it. Use the music that should play when you're running low on links. I guess that could work. What about this? This is the song I need to play after successfully creating baked beans. All right, that's the one that we'll do. And then before we create baked beans, that's it. We'll just do that. That's the one. Is this the same link? Staying alive? We can't do copyrighted stuff. 4 months later, entering beans with the right song. Yeah, you can. I mean, there's not chroma, but my my top knot is. I mean, my hair is literally green, so it can be chromed out. Turn off slow mode and spam the chat with beans. All right, see you later, Mark. Anything on the, I think we're just gonna use what I have. I think that's fine. Thank you, Doc, for let's see what you found, but we're gonna probably use what I have. Oh. Summon the rock. I'll just search for this. Top knot? You mean the coding garden on top of my head? I don't think I have stretched it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I mean, that's a little heavy. Creative Commons attribute license. Well, hopefully I didn't play enough of it that we actually have to. Oh. How loud is that? All right, we're gonna go into a 3-second slow mode, and we're gonna clip this. I guess we technically could. We technically could turn this into YouTube content. I don't know if we will. Let's pretend like we're going to. Yeah, I'm very aware how strict YouTube is. I need you all to spam coding beans in not right now, but in the chat, and also drop coding beans. All right, is everyone ready? I keep pressing. All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. We are here in a historic moment where I am actually going to insert baked beans into our inventory app database. You can see everyone spamming the chat with beans. This is a historic moment. Essentially, when I click send, it's going to send this data to my backend API, which will in turn insert these baked beans into the database. It's taken us 4 months to get here, but this is a historic day, so we have some dramatic swelling music to get us there. Here we go. Insert into null value user ID violates not null constraint. Dang it! It didn't work. We have to. So right now we have to. Right now we have to just hard code the user ID. Yeah, F in the chat. We're gonna hard code. Thank you, YouTube content. We're gonna. Oh, and thank you very much, Callum, for the gifted sub to Smiley. We're gonna hard code the user ID one, and just hopefully this works. All right, we're in no edits. We're gonna leave this. We're gonna do the same thing. Let's see some beans in the chat. Are you ready? Beans in the chat right now. User ID is an invalid additional property. You know what? I want my beans back. We just need to add it to the schema. It's an optional property. Oh, buddy. We'll get there. We'll get there one day. You know, there's a lot of things we got to do in coding. Is this a break? Okay. Let's also, like, while we're here, let's go ahead and just add a to-do. To-do, set user ID by logged in user. All right, this is it. This is it. For real this time, this is gonna work. Are you ready? Yes! Yes! thank you, everyone. It's been a long way. We made it. We literally have beans in our database now. I mean, this is why we started the whole thing. Just for the beans. Thank you, everyone. So good. And while you're here, if you have a bean, drop your beans while you got them, everyone. All right. 121 days later. We've got beans in our database. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for experiencing that moment with me. And I'll prove to you that it worked. Now, instead of a post request, we'll do a get request, and we should get back. Look at those baked beans. Beautiful. Mwah. Mwah. All right. And also, I'll mention that this is a meme that's a part of a larger scheme of things. The inventory app, which you can check out in this playlist. We've been working on this database for a long time. We designed it, but now we're here. Thanks for watching.